Yo, it's another week, second Tuesday of the year. Creative Financing with JB. Welcome back. I'm excited about this week because we doing something a little different this week. I sat down and had to really contemplate what am I going to do this week that stands out and what was really going to hit. So I want to start dedicating 1 week a month to something with straight mortgages, straight lending, that we're going to focus on that will give us a better outlook on what we should do, what's happening out here, what's the element of the economy and its mortgages. We got a lot of folks out here that's they're nervous. They're nervous. They don't know what's going to happen. We got new presidency. We have, a leadership coming through. People get scared, don't understand what to do, want to hold on to their money, want to save it, think that, hey, buying a house is not the best thing right now. But I want to just reiterate, I want to be very clear on this right now, that you have to still invest in owning your property. You cannot just continue to rent and think that it's going to be okay. That stuff is going to change for you. Nothing's going to change. You're going to be in the same situation you was before, and you have to increase your value. You have to increase your worth. You have to pass on this legacy and this on to the family, onto your kids and stuff. So please understand one thing. Please do not give up on purchasing homes right now. It's the best opportunity to do it. It's what you're supposed to do to pass on the legacy of wealth. But in the purchasing of homes, we have to remember it's a lot of scenarios that happen. We hear a lot of things out here that are not really what they're supposed to be. But the fact of the matter is, we just want to spread the truth on what it's supposed to be. If you're thinking about buying a house and you hear people say you don't need no money, please do not listen to that. That is not something that happens and keeps going. It's not something that's realistic. You might not need a lot of money to close on the house, but you do have to have money. You do have to have some type of assets in the bank to go ahead and purchase a home. Regardless what your credit is, you can have an 815, 850 credit score, but you still need money. You said, Johnny, what money do I need? We have programs out here. They can piggyback on stuff, but let's be realistic here. You need money when you sign that contract to make your earnest money deposit, which should be about 1%. Sometimes it might fluctuate depending on where you're at on that purchase price. Sometimes they'll work with you. That seller might let you put a 0.5% of 0.5% of what it is. Chuck, what's happening tonight, man? For it and stuff. But we're gonna be honest. You need money for that so it can keep going through and it can keep happening. Also, we need to keep in mind that we need money for appraisal. You need money for a home inspection. Those are funds that you should have saved a lot with some more. I tell people, what happens once we close on the house? If you have no money, who's moving your furniture? Who's paying for that deposit? And 1% is, and I want to break that down. That's a good question there. 1% of the purchase price. If I'm buying a $400,000 home, you need $4,000 to leave as a deposit. That's a reasonable deposit. So you will be able to show the seller that you're serious about this transaction, that you're not running, you're not playing games, that you are vested in this situation for it. So I was saying, what about closing? What about money after you close for moving, your electricity, you have other bills. You might need some curtains in the house because it's a new house. You might not have that curtain. You might need some blinds. You need your washing powder if you got to wash and dry. You have odds and ends that you have to get in there. You got to decorate your house because usually the house you buying might be a little bigger than what you're living at now. But if you're downsizing, it can be smaller. So you'll have that stuff. But if you're downsizing, you're probably selling a house where you have money coming from there, but you still need that money for those things that I mentioned on the appraisal, down payment, home inspection, for termite inspection if the underwriter asks for it and stuff. So those help clear up a couple of things that we have out there. Also, you got to think about, hey, am I still going to be able to enjoy the life that I like to live? What does that mean, Johnny? That means that, am I sacrificing buying this house? Am I not going to be able to go out to eat anymore? Am I still going to be able to have that date night with my significant other, or just go? Am I able to travel anymore? Am I able to at least go and sit down and have a drink with my friends if you drink, whatever it might be, am I going to sacrifice, my tithes that I pay to my church? I mean, all those things you have to take into consideration because it's important. And why do I say this? Because we have something that they call down payment assistance, that assists you with buying a home, that assists you with some of that closing costs and down payment that we have. And with that being said, you have to understand it's just that it is assistance. It's not the whole money. It's not what you're gonna go and get and feel that it's gonna be um, gonna cover everything and I'm gonna be done. They have down payment assistance. Down payment assistance varies on the state product. In Delaware, we have Disher. In Baltimore, you have the downtown, the development district for it. And so, what kind of credit score do I need comfortably to purchase a house? That's perfect question because that credit score should be, and you'll hear them say this, FHA credit scores, you can have a 580. But you're talking about a manual underwrite. Johnny, what's a manual underwrite? Which means that the underwriter is going to take your credit report and go over it manually and review it and see what questions they might have. Seeing if you have one late payment can throw you off in 12 years from a manual underwrite. You're disqualified. It's not going to happen because it's just that a manual underwrite. It's a 580. But where do we recommend you being? I like 700. 700. You've been paying your bills. It's been good. What's reasonable? 620, 640. Might have a little hiccup somewhere along the line for it. But for these down payment assistance programs, I recommend you having 640 and above. For that reason, we do have some programs that you can have less than 640 for it, but you have to remember that is requirements for these down payment assistance programs. What's your debt to income ratio for the down payment assistance program? Am I really going to be able to pay this back if it's a repayable or non-repayable for it? All down payment assistance programs aren't grants. And what do I mean by that? Some of them you have to pay them back. Some of them you don't. It depends on the program that you get. So sometimes that program runs out of money where they don't have the non-repayable and now it's the repayable program. Can I accept another payment for along with my first mortgage? These things come into play when you're dealing with this down payment assistance. Down payment assistance can range. It can be a number amount. It can be 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 30,000. It just depends where you're at. Sussex County had a nice one, and Delaware had a nice program. They was giving $30,000. Everybody said that's great, but guess what? It was an income limit on it. Yeah, it's based on income, so you got to take it for granted. We're going to give you $30,000, but guess what? You have to make in this income range. If you was going to get to 20,000, it showed you the income range. If you're going to get $10,000, it showed you the income range. But a lot of people just see the amount of that program, and they feel that, yo, this is great. This is going to be the get all, be all. It's going to be perfect. Let's be honest with ourselves. It's not the end all, be all for that. If you get in there and you're in those income brackets, you're going to have limitations on how much you really qualify for too. Because the lower you make, the less house you can buy, because these banks want to protect their money. We have something called that's an income ratio that we have to deal with these down payment assistance programs. And also, you gotta evaluate that this is the program that I need to use to get in the house. I don't want to discredit down payment programs. Please don't think that I'm doing that. I'm not discouraging people from using them. I'm just asking that have some of your own money available so you can have a level of comfort when you're doing that. We have some bank programs that I deal with that get 3.5% or 5% down of the purchase price. And people say, oh man, if I'm covering my 3.5%, I still got 1.5% to help with the closing costs. But your closing costs usually going to be more than 1.5%. If you're looking in Delaware and they get that program, you're going to need 2% for transfer tax. Do you foresee a better housing market coming soon? Housing market, I think, is great right now. Why do I say that? Because usually we have a little, people might say that interest rates a little higher. They want to see that 2-3%, but you're going to see the value of the home accelerate when you have that. So now is the time to jump in, get your feet wet, invest. When the interest rate jump up and you have that equity, upgrading your house to it. Don't look at your house right now. Today's your forever house, not unless you're selling and downsizing and you considering that for it. Hello, Isabel, how you doing tonight? But I want to be very, very clear that people with this down payment assistance cannot let that think that's the end all be all. Be invested in this program. Set yourself up to be able to get in this home. I see a lot of people post stuff up there about saving when we start at the beginning of the year because you start saving, that helps you out. I had a lady tell me this week, she said, my goal is to save $1,000 a week because she works 2 jobs. I'm like, that is great. $1,000 a week, that's $52,000. You're going to have some money where you're going to be able to get a nice, decent home. You're going to be able to put yourself in a situation to be able to have some money left over to do things when you get in that house so you can be comfortable. You're going to have some money that you can put back in your savings to save for a rainy day, because everything happens. Anything can happen for that. That's the savings of it to get in there. Do I need to move because rent's increasing? Absolutely. We see the rents increasing, but I tell people, everybody at this time is not a buyer. You have to know your timing of what you're doing. If you haven't prepared yourself, if you haven't started to save a few $1,000s for those things that we mentioned, don't just jump out here because you hear about down payment assistance. Down payment assistance is just what it is: assistance for your down payment. And so we don't want to get that confused in what we're doing. We don't want us to, as a loan officer, it can be frustrating And it's not frustrating that you don't have money, but the realm of you getting money to do it. It's ways to be creative with it. As I say, you can ask for seller's assist. I'm not telling you that you're going to get it. You can ask for a lot of things in life. It don't mean that the seller's going to be like, yo, I'm going to go and give it to you because you're a nice buyer. No, no. Oh, I'm going to give it to you because you really need this house. Folks, this is money that seller have earned over the years. They have put the money into the home. They have saved, and it's great. Rental prices, I feel, are at an all-time high. Isabel, you have not told a better truth right now than that. Rental prices are at the highest. Can we knock the people with their rental price? No, that's their investment. Their investment is to make money. Their investment is to go and try to see how good they can pay off their investment so they can have better liquidity when it comes to doing another investment project, for it. So don't knock the people on the amount of rents. It's cheaper to buy a house. You are so right. It is cheaper to buy a house. It is very important that you do that, because when you get to that point where you feel like you're getting frustrated with the rent and stuff, and you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you start stepping out. You start doing things that are very, very uncomfortable to you. But guess what? They get you to that next step. They get you to a point where you can go and do these things that are necessary to have a better way of life. Don't knock the landlord or the owner for having expensive rent, because that's what the area calls for. That's how they maintain. That's their money for retirement, for all we know. So you have to keep all those ideas in mind when you see these rent prices going up. When you see the price of stuff starting to increase greatly, this is what it is for it. So I had to focus on that down payment assistance here, because I hate to see, and I don't want to say hate, it's very discouraging to see people thinking that that's the end all to solve the problems for this. That's the end all to get it done. Um, we don't need that. We have to go and we have to do the things necessary to get in this house and keep going. Don't fault the seller. Don't knock them and say, oh, they're being greedy. They want too much for the house and stuff. They lived in it. They paid for it. They invested in that. They maintained it for years and years and years. And now they're getting a return on their investment. How many of us would like to know that we put $20,000 in the bank? It's been sitting there for 20 years. And when you get it, you got $20,022. Very, very disappointing. You think you had more money. You thought that it increased. You thought you were making money because you were putting in this high interest bearing account. That's the same thing with a home. People buy these homes. At the time, it might be expensive, but over time, that goes up, and they've been paying, they've been sacrificing, they've been doing a lot of things so they can be in there. And now you have to go back and say, I'm selling my house, and why should I take a discount? Why should I do this? Not unless I'm in a situation where I have to sell it, and going through that whole scenario of getting into selling it. But the sellers shouldn't be obligated there. Where is a sweet spot for a down payment? Sweet spot, I want to say is 1%. But if you really want to step out and you being aggressive out here, We're talking about 20%. We're talking about 20% down. 25 if you're doing FHA, you can kind of get rid of that insurance, that mortgage insurance and stuff for it. Get it out the way. Make sure that you don't have to pay that extra money monthly to get it down. You have equity in your property now. You have an investment to where you're on the positive side. You, as they say, you in the black. You ain't in the red. You ain't on the borderline of the red. You ain't trying to stay away from the red. You're in the black of it with the equity and stuff. And understand that that's plus. That's money that you put in there that most of the times you're going to get it on your return. Please understand that when you overpay for a house and you putting 20% down, you might just be at that right there on the border of that red spot. So you have to be mindful of that. You have to be cautious of what's going on in that type of scenario, because you have these things that we call short sales. We have our good folks, CK Capital. They make the transition a little bit smoother for people that gets in there for it. But you have to take that into consideration when you do it for it, folks. I don't want to belabor the point, but give me a call if you have some questions. I'm Johnnie Bazemore, 302-312-9860. Want to be able to answer your questions, want to be able to provide you with some education. If you don't want to talk, email me at johnny@creativefinancingwithjb.com. Send that through. I answer, I check my emails, I'll respond to you, I'll give you the outlook of where you should be, what you should do, how should you do it, because guess what? It's important to know before you get stuck out there, before you get in a bad situation and you don't know how you got in there. A lot of folks get in this housing market and sometimes they blame the loan officer, and sometimes we don't know everything. And I'm gonna be honest with people. I make mistakes. I'm human. If you give me the full story, if you give me the full outlook on that, my goal is not to make those mistakes. But if we don't have the full story of what's going on, or what you're doing, or where you're at, or if stuff is not accurate, then we're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have to try to be creative. We're gonna have to try to figure out how we're gonna get through this and get it done. Because the worst thing ever is to be under contract. You had some money saved and we seen it originally, and when the loan officer asks you for those bank statements again to show the money you have to close, and and that money's gone. You start talking about this down payment assistance program that you need, and we didn't talk about that at the beginning. We didn't give, hey there, Mr. Dixon, we didn't give the people the opportunity to know the truth about our situation. Because we, as loan officers, we get calls from the listing agent making sure that we have a viable buyer. We have everything in place. They are doing everything necessary for it. And next thing you know, they're not able to. They're not able to perform, and they're asking the loan officer what happened. And I don't want to tell them that, hey, they spent that money. They had it. They went out there and they did some things. My cousin needed it before they were going to jail, or somebody asked to borrow it and said they'll have it back before I close. But we can't have that. We can't do that. We gotta paint that clear, vivid picture, and it's frustrating for a loan officer for it to see, and why is it going that way? It's very disappointing. I seen a post on Facebook that we're losing loan officers more and more because when we put our hard-earned energy into what we're doing and how we're doing it and why it's going to be viable, and we want the best situation possible, and our borrowers do something that um, makes us change the whole situation. Folks, you cannot go into a contract and tell them that we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then all of a sudden want to do an addendum at the last minute for down payment assistance. We don't know if that seller would have accepted enough of the offer. We don't know if that seller would have said, well, I don't want to, I wasn't looking for that. I could have chose that. And no, I don't want to extend this. And then they want to keep the earnest money deposit. Why do they want to keep the earnest money deposit? Because they felt that they didn't have the opportunity to make a valid decision based on what has happened. They had no idea this was going to happen. Do emergencies come up? Absolutely. But you got to let people know where you're at in the circumstances of what you're doing. If you're in the market of buying a house and somebody need to borrow money, you're not the person to borrow that money. You're not the ones to provide them with that assistance they need right now, and they have to understand that. If your friends really care, they'll make the right move to say, hey, I know right now, Johnny, you buying that house, but I need this $6,000 because they're gonna pick up my car tomorrow and stuff, and I'm not being heartless. I'm like, hey, can they pick it up and holler at me once I'm done? you know, can you ask somebody else, or can you go get a loan or something? Can you do something else different? Because I don't want to put it in that bad situation. Hello, Tyrone. How you doing? Blessings and peace. I want to make sure that you're in the right situation. We're talking about down payment assistance programs that we need to just outline from the beginning if we need it. If we need that assistance to get us where we need to go, I love that. But we need to have some money in our pocket as well for the program we get into. Tense of Life is tuned in. Thank you for it, and go from there. We're always talking about being creative with this financing. People say, what does that mean? Johnny, doesn't that mean that if I get in a situation, you can figure it out? We can figure some things out. But when we want to figure them out is at the beginning of the process. We want to know what they are. We want to know that we're in a good situation to purchase a home and that we're not putting people in a bad situation. The worst thing I ever want to do is finance somebody's home and know they're going into foreclosure. I do not want nobody to be in that situation. I want people to get the home that they deserve, that they can afford, and that they can live in comfortably, and that they can do it year after year. I don't want to worry that you're working overtime to finance to make sure that you can get this $500,000 home, and you get tired and you don't want to work the overtime. But you have a $3,000 mortgage and your base pay after taxes and everything only come to $2,300 that you bringing home. We have a problem. We have a huge problem here. We haven't did you a good service by putting you in that situation. Do I like to calculate overtime? Yeah, I don't mind calculating overtime. But most of all, I don't want to use it as the basis of maxing out for a mortgage. I don't want that to happen. And then I don't want us to get this down payment assistance program and we walking into a house with $23 in our pocket and we still got to move, and we going out there doing crazy things, payday loans, overextending ourselves, borrowing money from people, that ends friendships and relationships. we have to be very determined in how we're doing this and what it is. That's a home ownership goal. That's why you see our loan officers, they work strategically and very humbly to get it what it is. This is what it needs to be. This is how it needs to be. And this is what it is. Do not get mad at your loan officer because they say, hey, we might want to get a little less house for you right now, because they're looking out for your best interest. They're letting you know where you should be, what you shouldn't be doing, how it can put you in harmful ways, and we don't want to do that. Take that advice of that expert so you can understand what's happening. So you can come back and say, yo, in a couple of years, now I'm ready to step up to the next level of house that I want to buy, because I done did everything. I done saved some more money. I got some equity here. I can afford a better payment if I have to. I can go conventional instead of FHA. So many things could change. We're here to do that. We're here to do that stuff and to get you there, but we don't want to hinder you more than we have to. Why am I having this conversation? Because it's a lot of misleading stuff that we see out there that can happen. Can we piggyback down payment assistance programs? Absolutely, we can in certain areas, but it's not always going to be every circumstance. It's not going to be every situation that we can do that. It depends where you are. It depends what market you are. If that market don't have it, excuse me, then you have to have the rest of the money for your down payment, and so that you can get in the house and have that. If you need to wait a little while, it's understandable. Wait. Take your time and come back at it and look at it. Don't get frustrated because you think right now you need to get in there and your lease expires and stuff like that. Don't force yourself into nothing, because it can be very detrimental. What do you think about those container houses? I think they're perfect. So I think those are some of the best investments and stuff people did, because they're affordable for one. They're not overwhelming. And guess what? It's a place to live and that you're earning. And I recommend that for folks that's in areas that they have available, that's not making a lot of money but need to get a little bit more space than a 1 or 2 bedroom. And it's situated in the perfect. We had last year, we had Bishop J on here. That's his strategy, and we're probably going to bring him back this year to talk about those container homes. They are a big commodity in certain areas, and they can help you out go through with this housing market. Can it be beneficial to people? Yes, yes. Tiny homes are beneficial to people? Yes. Do everybody have to have a big home as a first home? No. It depends on how you're able to budget and finance your money. Don't try to go in there with using a lot of credit card debt in the big home because I make a lot of money and I can do overtime anytime. If that stuff fails, what happens? What happens when overtime fails? What actually is the earnest money for, and do you get some of that back after closing? Earnest money is a good faith deposit to show what is used for is to show the percentage you need down based on the loan that you have. So if I have and it helps with that. If I have an FHA loan, I know I need 3.5% down. My earnest money is telling the seller, hey seller, I'm vested in this deal. I'm putting this $4,000 back, and it's going to go towards my closing costs at the end. So it's just not money you putting up. You're using it for your closing costs at the end. You're using it to help you to cover the money you need to close on the loan. It is a viable amount. It's as I said earlier, it's 1%. is it's kind of standard for it. For you hear your realtor say, yeah, this $500,000 house, can we do $5,000 or $10,000 down? And your eyes is like, what? Why they ask me for so much? This money you're going to use for closing anyway. You have to have that money. So I'd rather you take it out the bank and not be tempted than to leave it there and just put this little bit of money in. I was telling one of my realtor friends today that, when I was doing some homes and people were buying in the Maryland area, man, they was putting down $50,000 for earnest money deposit because they said, when I come to closing, I want the least amount possible, and I really have to bring the closing. I took this out of harm's way because it was tempting to me. You remove the opportunity for error in this whole situation, and guess what? It helps you in the long run. It saves you from having to tell people no, because when you can say, I don't have it right now, it's better than no, I can't do it. And people don't get offended. Because we know we have some folks that get offended when we talk, no, we can't give you that money right now. I'm buying a house. And they're like, oh, you act like I wasn't going to give it back. And it's a big conversation that don't even have to exist because it's money that you could say, yeah, my money's out of my pocket right now. I'm not able to hold it down right now with what you need. But when I finish with this, I can come back and say, hey, this is what it is for this house and this down payment assistance. Our market is at a volatile state right now. We just come out the holidays. Folks done did some expensive shopping for Christmas. They done overextended themselves, and it's okay long as you can get out of there and not put yourself in a financial bind. But if you're buying a house, I would prefer to see you utilize that money and save it for a better investment. Why is home buying so important? Why do people think that buying a house is a big step? It protects the longevity of passing down wealth. It protects us from not being able to just in our I call them twilight or our golden years, to be able to say, you know what? I'm able to leave Johnny this home that, he has something, that we left a legacy, and he'll keep passing it down. He'll keep doing something that's valuable for it. Those are key aspects when you buying homes. When you buy a home, why am I buying this home? I'm buying this home for the reason that I want to leave that generational wealth. I want to be able to go and say, hey, this is where it's at. I left something to the family. My father said, if you can't do more than I did for you, you wasted time. You wasted your time. So you got to leave your legacy right there and put up and shut up, invest in your home, invest in your future. Make sure that you can be in a certain position. I tell everybody can't buy a house today. Everybody's not at that point in their life. And guess what? It's okay. I had to realize that when I was at that point, in my life, to what I had to do. I'm a veteran. And I said, oh man, I don't have to have no money down when I do this. But guess what? I had to have money. Because 100% financing just means that I had a higher mortgage than somebody else that was putting 3.5% down. The government just backed me on 100% financing of what I did. But guess what? My mortgage was more. Because if somebody's putting 3.5% down to where I'm not putting any money down, it's 100% financing, my mortgage is going to be a little bit higher than them because they have less to pay back than I have right there. Then I have my funding fee and you have your mortgage insurance. So those things add up in the long run, but I still had to have money. I still had to be able to go out there and have something for closing costs. Does the veteran have more streamlined conditions? Absolutely. When it comes to that, we don't have a lot of fees that you can have on there because it's limited. It's that 1% that we can have on fees when they charge and lenders and stuff like that for it. So it's a different scenario. But I realized that I had some money saved to the side for my move. All I said, packing my boxes. Did I save a little money? Yeah, the way I saved money, I got me a U-Haul. I packed my own boxes. I had to buy them, but I had to move myself in and my family in. I might have found some friends that helped me and stuff, but that saved me some money because I bought pizza and food instead of paying somebody $3,000-4,000 to move my furniture and my boxes into a house that I was purchasing, where that food might cost me a couple of $100, but it was reasonable. But I had to make sure that when I got in there that I had money left over, that I had something to put food in the refrigerator, for gas, because I still got to get back and forth to work, for the lights that if they wanted to deposit, for the garbage, setting up the garbage right there for it, and talking about that. But folks, it's stuff after the fact that happens that you have to do, and you have to be prepared for it. So the down payment assistance, guess what? It's always a plus. It's always good. But guess what? It's got to make sense. You have to be a viable buyer to get that done. But I want y'all to give me a call. This is a conversation not only for tonight, down the road, next couple of days, 302-312-9860. Or you can email me at johnny@creativefinancingwithjb.com. Those conversations can be had over and over again. If you investing in property, don't think it's the same thing as buying your first home with 3.5 or 5% if it's conventional down and stuff like that. We need some money in the game. We need some skin. We ain't looking for no down payment assistance for investment properties. We're looking for people that have saved, they have step to the next level and say, hey, I'm ready to get my investment property where I'm making enough to pay the mortgage, and then I'm putting some up to save again. So, 20, 25%, sometimes it's even 30%. It depends on what you're doing here. And we have to know that full story, for is investing on a second home a great opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity because you have a different source of money coming in. Can I use some of that? It might help you on your first mortgage because you pay that off and you pay your first off. You have money sitting right there looking at you for when you retire. If you don't have the 401k and that 403b and stuff. Remember, everybody was so excited when back in the day we had pensions and pension funds and retirement plans and all that stuff happened. Those things have changed in this environment over the years. So now it's savings. People buy these investment homes for savings, for tax write-offs, is for retirement because they feel that those opportunities not going to be available anymore. It's not too many. I don't know too many places that give you pensions unless you're federal government, and I think some of those are 403bs too as well for what they're doing. So, those are money saved. That's why we purchase homes. That's why we go out here and fund these things for you and stuff over and over again. That's why I get excited when I see somebody came, save their money, going to that investment property because they did their due diligence. And I'm like, yo, this is the bomb. This is what it has to be. And go and get it done. It is a perfect situation for what needs to happen. And guess what? We got to get excited about it. That's where the excitement comes in. Yo, you had your first house. Now you coming back to purchase your investment properties. Let's get a couple of more. I'm ready to do them all so you can build that wealth that you need. And then I can reach out and help your grandkids, your kids, and all that stuff. Those are exciting moments. Those are monumental in this whole realm of what we do and why we do this. That's why I'm on the point of saving that money, utilizing it as you can. Look at ways you can save. Look at ways you can cut back. Look at things you can take out that you don't need every day and can make sense to you. Those are opportunities to grow and show discipline. I tell people that you show me someone that owns a house and I show you some discipline here because they had to put some discipline in what they were doing. They had to sit down and they had to really think about things that the ways they were moving to go forth in what they have to do. Those are responsible and accountable folks that do this. We noticed that a lot of folks say, hey, it's hard for me to save for. It's something that you're doing in your life that can change your life. Maybe this job you have, maybe you have to go to another career to increase that income to come in so you can have more saving. Maybe you just not budgeting right. Those are conversations we can have because me as a loan officer, it's not always about doing the loan. It's about educating on how to get the loan that is feasible and how do we get to a comfortable spot? How do we get to where we don't have to feel overwhelmed in what we're doing and the process that we're going through? Because homeownership can be a very burdensome or overwhelming type of situation. Hey, Miss McNeil, Aunt Debbie, and thank you so much. But it can be overwhelming in the process of owning a home. But guess what? It's worth it if we develop the discipline, if we develop the understanding we need to be in that situation. Bought my first home 1998. I was in California. Some folks done heard this story before, and I was with my daughter and we walked in. We was going down to get some food, but it hit me. I want a home. I want to own a home. I'm a military veteran. I work every day. I'm saving my money. I'm working hard. Why can't I own a home? And I walked in there. I think it was Wycott Realty. I think they're still around now. I don't know. But I walked in there and that man said, you want to own a home? And I said, absolutely. I'm a veteran. I told him I've been saving a little bit of money. I didn't have a lot. As you heard me say, I saved a little bit of money, but I had enough for closing costs and stuff. I think I might have had close to $10,000, something like that, if not more. And I walked in there and he set me up and I was looking and he was showing me houses and I could have had another house and I bought a house from a couple that were getting divorced. And, not that I was excited about they were getting divorced. I was excited about the home and me being able to save. I was getting into something that was going to save me money for that. And I went in there and folks, I made a bad mistake in that house. I went and we had they were giving those second loans. They were like small, $20,000. I can't even think of the company that it was again, but I was just thinking, if I get this extra 20,000, I can put my money back that I spent. I got this equity in the home and stuff, and I fiddled with it for a long time, and I went and got that loan. What saved me was I had a lot of equity in the home. But I said, I'll never do that again because that ate up with that interest rate, what I did, and that money I said I was saving, I didn't save it. I started doing stuff around the house because I said, oh man, I'm going to put a sprinkler system in. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to the thing. But I started doing other stuff and that happened. And I became irresponsible for a moment. until I had to pull myself back. I talked to my mom, and she said, "Boy, you better stop playing out there with that stuff." And I came back on target to where I needed to be. So when that happened, the valuable lesson was there is that money that I got, that I received from that second loan on the home and payments I was making, if I was just saving that, it'd probably been no different than what I have. I wouldn't have as much as the time I sold it, but I would have had some savings there. But I wanted it so quickly. That's why I had to go back and I had to become disciplined to what I was doing, how I was doing it, why I was doing it. And it was good, and we all talked about that when we were working. Home ownership. What are we doing to save? How are we saving? Are we spending our money on buying lunch every day? Or are we bringing lunch that we can save on? Going out to are we going out to buy these new sneakers and clothes and we still got sneakers we ain't worn in the closet already? I mean, are we buying clothes that, we probably not going to wear for a little while and wasting that money? No, we are jumping on the bandwagon to saving. That's the name of this game. We're bringing our lunch to work. We're utilizing our clothes and stuff we have and making it look nice and clean, taking it to the cleaners, making sure that it's appropriate for what we're doing when we go into church. We still doing those things that are feasible. And guess what? We're saving the money. We're saving the money. Something else I didn't tell you about DPAs do. Sometimes the interest rate is higher than your normal rate. People say, huh? Yes, yes. How do these banks make the money? They have to earn money somehow. So how am I making money? Oh man, I was gonna get a 6.5 rate. No, you wasn't. You wasn't getting 6.5%. Your rate was really 5.25 at the time, but they said for us to get this money back that we gonna consider forgivable and you don't have to pay us back, it's gonna be at a different rate because we're gonna recoup some of that money. Are you going to refinance it? Yeah, if you refinance it in a certain amount of time, then they can ask for that money to be repaid back to them. So it's so many stipulations in that down payment assistance program that we don't even think about, and it happens. Interest rates is one way that they recoup money, because you got to ask the question, what would my interest rate be if I didn't get this down payment assistance? Would I still be paying the same amount monthly? The answer is probably no. The answer is probably no. And you say, why is that? Because the rate that you would probably pay if you didn't have that money is normally lower than what you're going to pay. Because if it's forgivable, how do they earn the money back? Is it really free money? Ask yourself, is that really free? And when you say free, what do you mean? Free as in the terms that I got to stay there 10 years before I can move and don't owe them any money? Or you talking about free in the instance that I'm at the same interest rate no matter if I got the money at all? Those are questions to ask yourself. Those are questions I want to discuss with you. Give me a call. Johnnie Bazemore, Creative Financing with JB, 302-312-9860. Don't go out there uneducated, unprepared, and for what it is. Them new houses look beautiful. They are remarkable. If it don't meet your budget, don't try to do things that overextend you. Because with that happening, that causes a whole problem in itself. For it. These down payment assistance programs are wonderful programs. We thank the state, the federal government. We thank them all for that. But guess what? Have some vested interest in that too, because when you're vested and you're spending money in it, you start to take care of a little bit more and a little bit better than you would if you didn't. Stuff you pay for, you care for a lot better. And guess what? And if you don't care for it and you're paying for it, you have to think about, why am I doing these things? Are they feasible for me? Are they, will they do any good in the long run? Look at the whole picture. Ask those questions for those down payment assistance programs. What are the stipulations? What are the requirements? What if I want to sell it in a year and a half? Do I have to pay that back? What if I move or refinance? Is that repayable? What is the interest rate with it or without it? Will this county require me to start paying this back the same time I start paying on my first lien? All those things matter in this situation, because we're in the saving money and passing on legacy of wealth. Those things are very, very important as we go through. There's so much to dig into, to understand, to rationalize, and to and get this, and to say, hey, I did it on my own. Even if you got the down payment assistance and you had some money, say, yo, I had money vested in that. And that's the key right now. Once you have that vested money in there, you start making better decisions, stuff start to do better for you, and you start becoming more accountable to yourself. Owning a home is accountability, it's discipline. Some people that believe they have discipline and get into a home and not able to maintain it have to restructure the things that they're doing. I had to restructure. I explained it to you clearly. I got that second loan, had no business getting it. I got out of it. I was fortunate, but guess what? I learned from that lesson and just kept buying homes and investments, and start looking at the things that was happening out here. All my investors out there, keep and manage your investment properties just like your personal property. Understand that rent roll. Understand the cost of buying a duplex versus a single family home. What's more beneficial to me? Why is it more beneficial to me to buy a duplex than a single family home? Are you in a situation, if that single family home tend to stop paying you rent, to manage that and save to have rent before you have to go through the eviction process? With that duplex, I have two sources of income coming in, and if one don't pay, the other one suffices for the mortgage. If I have a mortgage on it, if I didn't buy it cash, and me getting another tenant in there and cleaning that place up will allow me to do the things that I need to do. Save your rent, manage it accordingly, and get it done. Folks, that's my time this week, man. It's always fun. I love it. I love to educate. I love to see y'all win. I want to see y'all succeed in 2025. Go ahead and save that 25% in your bank account. Get that money ready. Feel like you can dominate. You can always dictate and dominate in this era of doing this money. Prepare yourself for the victory. Be uncomfortable so you can excel. And when you excelling, you winning. You win, I win, we all win. Our family wins, our legacy wins. Our wealth continues to grow more and more and more each time. Creative Financing JB. Man, see you next Tuesday. Same time, same station. Don't change nothing but your mind, but make it a good change. Y'all have a great night. Thanks.